You're listening to Last Word Radio, where you get the last word.
Welcome to the Fourth Line Podcast, part of the Alberta Podcast Network, powered by ATB. This is May the 7th, 2018. With you today is myself, Carl, and the always wonderful Joel. Joel, today is a very exciting day.
Yeah?
It's Monday, which isn't usually that exciting.
It's like Mondays aren't exciting.
No, but we're one step closer to the Stanley Cup Finals. 2 more teams got eliminated yesterday, and 2 more might get eliminated tonight.
Here's hoping.
So you want...
Oh, no, I'm just kidding.
I was going to say, because I
hate
feel
the
like...
Jets.
Yeah, you want the Jets to push it to 7 and lose.
Yes, I definitely want the Jets to be the ones that push it to 7. That would be funny. They score on themselves several times.
Yeah, if it's their own fault.
Yeah.
One thing that came out of yesterday's game, we'll get into some of the teams eliminated, Boston, San Jose eliminated, but one thing that came out of that was, obviously, Brad Marchand had a problem with his mouth. Usually he has a problem with his mouth. He's running it. This time, he was licking people again, Joel.
Yeah, he was. It's gross.
Yeah, and I don't think it takes any more analysis than that to talk about licking people. A penalty? Do you think it should have been like what level of punishment? Because there should have been something.
It was Callahan, right?
Yeah.
Callahan should have been able to two-hand him with a stick as hard as he wanted.
Like whatever part of the body you used, he gets to hit you with a stick there.
Or any part of the body.
Anywhere he chooses. Okay, sure.
Well, if you're going to, basically no rules. If you don't get a penalty for licking someone, you can basically do whatever you want, right?
Sounds accurate to me, yeah.
So, just free for all. Or, you have to fight the Big Show.
Off ice, because we do not want to see him on ice.
Sure.
Yeah.
And it's in a cage, so you can't run away. A cage match, locked in, versus the Big Show. Okay,
I can get behind that. Any sort of punishment is better than what he actually got, which was a stern talking to from the NHL, his coach, and Zdeno Chara, which some people seem to think that that's enough. He was talked to about it, so that's probably fine.
Did Chara actually talk to him about it?
Yeah, you can see after the incident in question, Chara skated over and leaned in and was like, "Hey,
stop licking people."
Yeah, slow your roll a little bit.
Is that not... Has Boston moved to the point where we need to talk to them like they're 4-year-olds? Don't lick people. Don't throw knives. This is where we're at.
Yeah, these are actual things being said to actual adults, but apparently we are.
And the NHL doesn't care. Doesn't care at all.
No, they gave him a stern talking to and then he was eliminated, but obviously, we saw throughout the weekend on social media, the Bruins and Marchand were the laughing stock with his licking and everything else that he got up to. And it wasn't just fans getting in on the action.
It's true.
The Montreal Canadiens Twitter feed said in French, and I'm going to skip the French part. I'm going to skip straight to the English. He said, without naming names, just a reminder that licking is frowned upon on the golf course as well. And they linked to an article called Hidden Hazard in Licking Golf Balls, which, again, I didn't think you needed to tell people not to lick golf balls. But I guess you've worked at a golf course before. There's all kinds of things you put in the grass that...
You shouldn't be licking golf balls.
Yeah, like the fertilizer or whatever, right? The stuff you put in the grass, not
Chemicals.
Good for you. Yeah. Bad things. So
you will die.
Yeah, so don't lick golf balls. But they tweeted out to Marchand. Marchand got a whiff of it and replied, saying, "Funny, throwing shade since you were out of the playoff race since October." Just the kind of mentality that Brad Marchand has. Eliminated, wakes up the next day and just starts trolling. Going back at people trolling him, which I think that's fair.
That's okay. I don't have a problem with that. It wasn't like it was surprisingly, it wasn't like out of line or anything. Like, of all the things that I expected him to do, something that like is kind of funny and sort of appropriate, that was not one of them. I didn't expect that.
He did also make fun of someone for being a little overweight, so he he quickly fell out of the graces for that. So
it's true. Was he ever in the graces though? Like, it wasn't like his comment against the Canadians like made him feel better or like made other people feel better about himself. It was kind of like, it was like a neutral comment. You didn't hate him more because of it, but you didn't like him more because of it. Yeah,
definitely, for sure. But you were up to some things on Twitter today, if I'm not mistaken.
This is not today. This has been for a while now. You tell them. You're the one who spotted it.
Well, it's not. You were tweeting with a former NHLer, or tweeting. I don't know if he ever
borderline former NHLer. Let's all be
Joel,
clear.
I think we all know he played the game,
but it's borderline. Like, he played like 12 games or so.
Yeah, whatever. I don't know. You know his career much better than I do.
Yeah, he played for the Kings, the Oilers. I don't know who else. I think he played for Carolina maybe one season.
Okay.
He's a really bad hockey player.
So what are you doing here? Explain.
Well, Patrick O'Sullivan is like basically the same as Brad Marchand in the media.
Okay.
Is that a fair assessment?
I would say it different. I don't know how many people have been licked by Patrick O'Sullivan.
But Patrick O'Sullivan, he takes like cheap shots at people in, like, whether on his radio show or on Twitter, right?
He has a radio show.
Yeah, but he also used to be on TSN. Now he's on XM Sirius, which very difficult to try and figure out how to listen to his show unless you have Sirius. Like, does anyone have satellite radio? I don't know. I don't know anyone.
I think some people. I think it's dying because internet.
Yeah, like, I don't know anyone that has satellite radio, so I can't imagine. Like,
the only people I know who do live in the middle of nowhere where they don't get actual radio.
Right. But now you have the internet, so
exactly.
But so anyway, so he has the show. He has this opinion that you're not allowed to talk about hockey unless you've played it professionally, like in the NHL.
It's a bad take.
Well, that's his take.
I guess everyone listening to this, either you agree with it and you've just turned us off, or you disagree with that opinion and you're going to leave us on. So thank you for sticking around.
Yeah. So anytime he comments on something on Twitter, I let him know that he's not allowed to comment on those things. Because you're not allowed to give analysis on things you've never done. So.
Right. So what are some of the things that he's given opinions on that he's never done?
Anthems.
He has an anthem take. Okay.
He had and he refused to reply to my tweets about it today, which I was very sad about. He also has takes about being great, which clearly he can't talk about that. Those were his takes from today. I forget. I haven't looked back. Like, I would say, I don't know, I've at least, like, probably close to like 10 or 12 times I've let him know about this on Twitter. I'm actually kind of hoping he blocks me. Like, that's kind of my goal in all of this. Because I think it'd be hilarious to get blocked by Patrick O'Sullivan, but...
Like, you could just unfollow him.
Yeah, but that's no fun. Because he does block people.
Okay.
This is the thing that, because then what he does is he blocks them and then he takes like screenshots and makes fun of them. And usually he makes fun of parents. Like, that's his go-to.
That's a weird choice.
Well, someone will make fun of him on Twitter, and then he will take a screenshot of a picture with that person and their child and be like, "You're a terrible person because you have a child and you shouldn't say bad things." So, but I'm more subtle. I'm trying not, I don't go right after him. I don't want to be I just ask questions or make observations.
Right. Just stating facts. That's all.
That he should really approve of.
Yeah, it's true. You're just using his logic. That's fine.
So, there's one of two ways we should go with this. We should either try and get him on the show.
To what?
I don't know. Why not? Don't you think that would be fun?
Not the way you've described him makes me have zero desire to actually talk to him.
would you? I guess it depends. See, I would ask him all of these questions. I want to know. I want to dive deeper in his take about
So
why.
we're shoving him on Joel's counseling couch when he comes on the show. Essentially, like we want to get deep into what is happening there.
Now I want to know why he thinks only those. Like, what other things do you have to be a professional at for you to be able to talk about? Like, is it just
Like
hockey?
you have to have done it. Like if you want to have an opinion on who the president should be, you had to have been the president.
Yeah, or what about like cooking? You can't have an opinion on cookies unless you've been a professional cookie chef.
Yeah, I think we call those bakers.
Whatever.
Yeah,
Have you ever been a baker? No, you're not allowed to have a comment about baking.
that's fair. Yeah, see? We should ask him that for sure. Before we get into the rest of the show, let's remind everyone about the folks over at ATB Financial. They are the official bank of choice of the Fourth Line podcast, as well as the Alberta Podcast Network. If you head over to atb.com/listens, you can find out all the ways that they can help you, and you can tell them what you're looking for in a bank, and they can work with you to get the best banking experience. So head over to atb.com/listens, where you can get all the help you need. Joel, we are here. The Boston Bruins, as we mentioned, eliminated from the playoffs. A great day for everyone.
Including those in Boston. Right?
Yeah.
I don't know, I'm assuming they don't like Boston Bruins either. Nobody likes the Bruins.
Let's go with that. What we do know is that Tampa won in 5 games, as definitive as possible. It took them as many games to beat the Boston Bruins as it took them to beat the New Jersey Devils.
Boston is not very good. They apparently, when you have a team that can handle one line, you're not going to do well.
When you figure out how to shut down that one line, which requires some good defensemen.
Basically, yeah. And a really good goalie.
Yeah.
And like I don't know. At this point in time, Tampa's still the deepest team in the playoffs. So like it's not surprising that a deep team beat a really not deep team.
Yeah, you just get those line matchups working in your favor. You have home ice advantage. You can do that all the time. And you win.
And you don't lick people.
Yeah, Tampa did not lick anyone during their games.
That we know of.
Which was very impressive. So, so Tampa's moved on. Boston, not confusion, frustration from fans in Boston about officiating in that series.
Hilarious.
It's shocking that when you embarrass the officials by licking someone in the middle of a game and then like making them be like, look, dude, we don't want to give you a penalty for this. Like we really don't want to do this. But Tampa, they were able to shut down Boston 5-on-5. Boston did not score a 5-on-5 goal since game 2. 3 games in a row that they could not score even strength. So that officiating or not, if you're not going to score even strength, you're not going to win a playoff series.
Yeah, and Boston's the last team that can complain about officiating. I don't really care if it was bad or not.
Yeah, because you got away with licking somebody.
Well, and you just get away with everything. Like Marchand, like he takes the opinion of if I like cheat 10 times a game, I'm only going to get called for it 2 times.
Right.
Or less, right?
Yeah,
and
if they don't see it, if whatever.
It's like, they're not going to call everyone, so I'll just cheat as many times as possible and then get away with it. And that's what Boston does. And so, which probably most teams do.
Every team does.
It's just noticeable with Boston because it's guys who are their best players that are doing it.
Yeah, one thing that I noticed with the game they didn't notice, but Marchand actually got called for what to me was a very weak embellishment call. Like they called Hedman for holding, which was weak, and then they called Marchand as well for embellishment. I was like, oh, that's what you get. You've lost all benefit of the doubt. I won't go as far as comparing it to Dennis Weidman, but like it's along those lines. The officials are not across the board know what you do, and you've lost that leeway.
Yeah, it's weird. Is it like it's weird that the Bruins have like one of the least respected players on like in the NHL, and probably for some reason, I'm not really sure why, one of like the most respected. Would you put
On the same line.
Yeah, like would you put Patrice Bergeron as like one of the most respected players in the game?
I would say so, yeah.
Like, I think the reason why he's most respected is because like so many people think he's better than he is. Like, I don't know. So, but like, no one has anything bad. Like, you never hear anyone saying bad things about Bergeron. Everyone's saying bad things about Marchand, and yet, how are these guys like on the ice at the same time all the time?
Yeah, it's true. Nothing is rubbing off on Marchand from Bergeron. Tampa, moving forward, they're going to be playing the winner of Washington, Pittsburgh. With that depth that they have, do you think that they're good enough to beat either of them? Is there a team that you like their odds better against?
No, they're going to beat either of them.
Okay.
It doesn't really matter.
Just all day, they got it in the bag.
Like, they're going to be the favorites. They should be the favorites, and they're probably going to win. Like, I don't know. They'll probably have an easier time with Washington if they somehow manage to make it without Backstrom, but I don't know. Do we hear if Backstrom's playing tonight?
Backstrom is a game time decision for Game 6, so
which is like right now.
Yeah, so most folks will will know by this time, and if you're listening later in the week, you know if he's going to be playing if there's a Game 7. So
but like that's the like so say Capitals get through, but they don't. But Backstrom doesn't play anymore. Like that's a huge blow.
Yeah, Backstrom's not in for Game 6.
So My guess is you don't see Backstrom again unless like the Capitals make it to the next round, and even then you might not see him. Like this game time decision, like he could have a broken arm. I don't even.
Well, like Joe Thornton was a game time decision through the entire playoffs. There was no chance he was playing.
Yeah, but like they're not going to say one way or another, right? So like I didn't like no one's really talked about how serious the injury to Backstrom was, but that's a huge blow, and so they can still win. Like they only have to win one of two games, so that's
obviously their odds are in their favor. But Pittsburgh, even if you look at, I know Pittsburgh is the favorite from the betting odds to win tonight's game. I would think if you push it to 7, they'd be the favorite to win that game as well. So
would that make them the favorite to win the series then too? If they're favored to win tonight and favored to win Game 7?
No, because numbers. So I could explain it.
I don't.
But you don't actually care.
No,
you're right. Essentially, if you have 2 games with a 60% chance of winning, you have a 36% chance of winning both of them. See? Now you know.
So even though you weren't going to explain it,
it was too good not to. I had to. Yeah, you're welcome. And the listeners are thankful. They're like, "Oh, okay, I learned something."
We hope.
Yeah, I think they did. Anyway, so yeah, Pittsburgh is not favored to win the series at this point. Washington is, but with missing Nick Backstrom, John Carlson not at 100% after his high hit from Jake Guentzel. Washington a little against the wall, but
who do you think wins?
I think Washington wins
tonight.
Yes.
Is this just like a little bit of like post-hype sleeper status?
I don't think it's post-hype bandwagon team. I think it's the fact that like Washington is good, has been good, and all these series come down to like they've been close series. Last year it was 6 games that they lost in. If they lose this year, it's going to be 7 games. Like losing that tight of a series is nothing to be ashamed of repeatedly. It comes down to like, even if you include all of them, like, yeah, every year you're 1 game, like 1 goal worse, arguably 2 goals worse than the other team. That's pretty close. And that can go one way or the other. That's 1 stupid penalty. That's 2 stupid penalties. That's a bad line change. That's anything, right? Like there's so many things that you have to do well. And yeah, Pittsburgh did them better than Washington did every year up to this. But I don't think the difference between Washington and Pittsburgh is as much as everyone wants it to be. Pittsburgh has been better. It's undeniable, but
yeah, I don't know. I actually think Backstrom being out is what could swing this series. Like, I don't like he's not a third liner that you can get away with replacing. But like, he is what? Second best player on that team, third best player?
Yeah.
Like, so all of a sudden you're not replacing, I'm trying to think. You're not replacing like a third line center with your ninth best player forward with your 13th best forward. Like, you're replacing your second best forward with your 13th best forward. That's a huge drop. That could be a big swing. So I think I would have said, with him in the lineup and healthy, I would have said Capitals we're going to win tonight and then move on. With that, my guess is it's going 7 for sure, and I would probably I'd expect Pittsburgh to win. But it's like you said, it's a coin flip. Like, but I would say it's on. I would say Pittsburgh's got to be pretty pumped. Like they got to feel like they have a chance. Not that they need to feel like they have a chance. They probably always have, but
yeah, that team has all the confidence that they need. And this is what we expected this series to be. It was going to be close. It was going to be the best players being the best players. One thing that I find super interesting with, especially if you look at this series, you have two simultaneous narratives that people keep wanting to run, right? So there's the Ovechkin storyline of him not being good in the playoffs, not being a performer. Do you consider him to be like a playoff choker?
Ovechkin?
Yeah.
I don't think so. I don't know. I haven't actually looked at the numbers, but I feel like, well, I know last year against the Leafs, he scored a bunch of goals. Like, yeah. And how many goals does he have this year?
He's done well this series. Last year, looking into the series against the Pens, he was on he worked out to a 7 point per games total. So that's good.
7 points per game?
Sorry, 70 points over 82 games. So like a little less than his usual. 7 points per game is very good. Yeah.
I was like,
it's a good thing one of us listens to what I say.
So, but like, I don't know. I don't think he's a playoff choker. I've never really thought, I just like the Capitals as a whole are, but like, I've never felt like Ovechkin is. Like, these are his point totals in the playoffs. Going back to like the very first season he made the playoffs. 9-7 games, 21-14, 10-7, 10-9, 9-14. His worst season was 2012-13, where he had 2 points in 7 games. 9-14, 12-12, 8-13 last year, and then 14-11 this year. He's not like,
and like 8 goals this season.
Yeah, like those are not like, not only are those not just respectable, those are good playoff numbers. You're not upset about, like, you're very happy about.
You shouldn't be upset about them.
So, like, obviously, like, there was one year that the lockout year. They must, like, I imagine it was a 7-game series that they played.
Yeah, and I don't remember who they played that year.
And they lost, and he only had 2 points, and that's probably a big reason why they lost. Like, I'm gonna go on a limb and say that. But like, so one playoffs out of however many he's been in, he hasn't shown up.
Yeah,
it's far from like,
and that's what I think every player in the league has had a 7-game stretch where they've only had 2 points,
and that is like, obviously the most basic of numbers in points and goals. But like in the playoffs, like, you don't evaluate teams whether they're going to be good or not in the playoffs by like advanced stats and bigger sample sizes. In the playoffs, it's all about scoring goals and small sample sizes. That's just what that's what the playoffs are. You can predict teams, you can look at teams and anticipate that they're going to be, but like, numbers kind of go out the windows in the playoffs, and it's the guys who score the most that you want, and he's fine. So I don't know. I wouldn't buy that narrative. I don't know why this team just can't win in the playoffs, but for some reason they can't.
On the flip side, Jake Guentzel leading the league so far in the playoffs in points. So if Ovi is not a playoff performer or isn't a playoff choker, do you think that there's anything to Guentzel being somehow shockingly fantastic in the playoffs versus the regular season?
No.
So this is, again, just a small sample size of luck, because this is back-to-back years that he's done this, where he's had, again, like...
He's significantly better this year than last year.
He had 21 points in 25 games. Now he has 21 points in 11 games.
Yeah, like, so it's like way better.
Yeah.
I don't know. Who's he playing with? I haven't watched any Pittsburgh games.
He's been playing with Crosby.
There you go. Like, you think, like, what are you going to do? So, like, in the regular season, you still focus on Crosby and Malkin. In the playoffs, what are you going to do even more? Focus on Crosby. Like, so maybe that's a reason. Maybe it's not that he's just all of a sudden magical. It's just that he gets more he gets more space on the ice because everyone else is worried about Crosby.
Yeah, you're not going to let Crosby burn. Yeah, that's definitely part of it for sure. I honestly, so many people think or like to make these points on guys being playoff performers, or like this guy thrives under the pressure of the playoffs. To me, it's just such a garbage storyline. Like I don't think that Jake Guentzel sits there and he's like, well, I'm going to be just okay during the regular season, but now that the playoffs are here, I'm going to turn it on. That's not how any athlete is working. Joel, I played the game. I know how this works. Patrick O'Sullivan told me that I can have this opinion.
No, you didn't play professionally.
Oh, okay.
You can't, unless you've been in the NHL, you're not allowed to talk about it.
Okay, well, I guess let's carry on to the next topic. Heading out west. The San Jose Sharks are eliminated by the Vegas Golden Knights. Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
Still going.
They're going to win it all.
Yeah?
You gonna bet against them right now?
They finally lost a game, at least. So them and Tampa are both...
2 games?
Yeah, they lost 2 games.
Yeah.
Them and Tampa are both sitting at 8-2, 2 losses apiece. So I think if you look from that angle, it's the favorites. But if you were to compare the Sharks versus either the Preds or the Jets, I'm thinking they're up for a much tougher competition this round.
Probably, but I'm not going to pick against them.
No? So
why would you at this point? They're just making everyone look like fools.
So it's until they just keep going.
Yeah.
So
there's only one team I would pick them to lose to at this point that's left in the playoffs.
Tampa.
Yeah. Why else would you who else would you pick? I'm not saying they're going to sweep the Jets or Preds, but I'm going to they'd be my guess to win that series. Until they prove me wrong now, I'm going with them. Why not? They've been playing with house money since November.
Hands down, yeah.
So who cares? They have nothing. The Jets, I don't know, all of a sudden, the Jets are just the Jets are the super team. Everyone thinks they're never going to lose a series again, ever. That's how the media is portraying them. The Preds, everyone's given up on them.
Yeah.
So,
and from the series thus far, the Jets have far and away been the better team. They take, the Preds give them penalties. They draw, they're forcing them into making these mistakes, and they're capitalizing. But I think if you put them against the Knights, they both play such an up-tempo style. I think we'd see Vegas trying to compete against themselves.
Maybe, I don't know. I just think the thing I'm more interested about is seeing what happens when Marc-Andre Fleury shows us the bad Marc-Andre Fleury, because it's gonna happen whether it's this year or next year.
Oh yeah,
it's just he's not gonna be this good forever. So that's gonna be sad for Knights fans next year when he's all of a sudden not good.
Well, he's 33 years of age, playing his best season ever. And sure, goalies peak. I guess people can't see my air quotes. Goalies peak late, but not this late, and they don't have they don't maintain this performance that far into their career. So,
well, and you're gonna have a less motivated James Neal if he's back. Because, contract year. It's a thing. You're going to have...
I guess all these Knights on there... This is a team of contract years.
Yeah, maybe that's the thing. Is just get guys with no contracts. And just ride the contract year to a Stanley Cup. But, Yeah, I don't know. And like, this team's going to crash back to earth. It just has to. Like, and I don't think it's going to be this year. I think it's going to be next year. Like, I think this year, it's like, this year at this point, they can win it all. There's nothing that shows they can't. Except, like, I think if they run into Tampa, that's going to be anyone who runs into Tampa at this point. Like, if Tampa screws this up and loses, it's going to be a sad day for Tampa fans. Because, like, really, they have no reason why they shouldn't win the Stanley Cup.
Yeah, they're deep. They've got, especially if you look at, like, because we look at the Oilers as an example of, like, wasting a great contract situation, right? Like, the situation that Tampa has with Kucherov on his weirdly cheap bridge deal, like, you're not going to get that back. You're not getting Nikita Kucherov for cheap after this deal. That's not happening.
And that's next year, this year and next year. And then they're also going to have to figure out, like, so Sergachev, how do you say that guy's name?
Yeah.
So, like, he's got 2 years as an RFA.
2 more after this.
Yeah. So you've got 1 year with, and like, cause like Sergachev's going to get a massive deal. He's going to get a deal, like they're going to
top defensive prospect deal. Whatever that is.
Exactly. So he's going to get 7 or 8 years for a lot of money. So you got 2 years, Tampa. In 3 years' time, you're going to have Stamkos, Hedman, Kucherov, and Sergachev, and Vasilevsky all on. I don't know how long Vasilevsky's signed for, but like
Vasilevsky's the same as Sergachev.
So like, you got to pay all of those guys in year 3 from now. Good luck. Don't screw it up this year. Maybe you should win. Because like, and the other thing with that is you've got teams that are getting better behind them. So like teams like the Jets are getting better. Like, I don't know what's up with Oilers, but I'm never going to bet against Connor McDavid. Like, you just have teams that are going to be getting better. Tavares is going to go somewhere. Don't screw this up. See, but that's the thing. Like, Tampa, you look at them this year and you're like, okay, next year they're going to be really good. I have no idea about Vegas. I have no idea if they're going to be good next year. I assume they're not going to be, just like I assumed they weren't this year.
Well, this is a season where with Vegas, you have everything going right for so many people, right? Like William Karlsson coming out of nowhere doing what he's done.
That's never happening again.
Right? Like the odds, I would for sure put it that he would put, like, this is his best season. Jonathan Marchessault, he's been good before. He's put up those underlying numbers, but with a small sample size. Now he has a larger sample size. I believe in what he's doing a lot more than what William Karlsson's doing.
I would say he's the guy that I believe in most on this team. Like, what he's doing now is what I believe he can actually be.
I think I would put more faith, and it's different because it's not like an out of nowhere guy, but like Marc-Andre Fleury is the guy that I put the most trust in on this team.
But until he's terrible, we all know he's going to be terrible at some point.
But he had, like, so the bad Marc-Andre Fleury that we saw for many years hasn't been a thing for quite some time.
But he's also played behind really good teams. Like, that's the thing. Like, you're always going to be good when Malkin and Crosby are your 2 best players. Where next year, I don't know. And he's getting older. Like, that's the other thing. We know Marc-Andre Fleury can be bad. He's getting older, and he's on a worse team.
Yeah, definitely next year with this, lots of the defensemen on this team will potentially be on their way out. But the core of this Vegas team will still be there. It's James Neal. And then you have to sign Karlsson. You have to figure out what to do with, like, Lucas Spiza. Not really going to be that big of a deal. Shea Theodore, Colin Miller on the back end are RFAs. So like the people they need to sign are RFAs. So
are they even playing Lucas Spiza?
No.
Okay, I was like, that's not a big deal because that guy's getting less than a minute a night. I'm guessing he hasn't played in the playoffs. I don't know.
Yeah,
maybe he has. He's not good.
I closed the old playoff Vegas sheet. So, yeah, we'll see. So you think Vegas going all the way through Tampa, or going through to Tampa? You think that, so Vegas, Tampa, if you had to redo it right now,
Well, who do you think's winning tonight? Do you think Jets Preds are going 7, or are you going?
I think Jets win tonight. I think Caps win game 7.
So then you've got Jets Vegas. Who wins that?
Jets.
Wow, you got the Jets in the finals.
Well, it's both of those would be crazy before, like to say, like you're picking between the Jets and the Knights at that point.
Yeah, and that. So who do you have as your Stanley Cup right now with all the teams left?
I have Tampa Jets.
No, like who's winning that?
Oh, who's winning that? Tampa.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've just been
in 4.
In 4. I wouldn't put it that far. But yeah, certainly the Knights have impressed. We'll see. I still don't like them. They still bother me. And it wasn't just because they were playing tiny Sharks. Like I was more on the Sharks bandwagon because of him, but
they bother you because you want to be the only team to win a Stanley Cup in their first year. But it doesn't really count for you.
No, that's not why they bother me. They bother me just because it's partially that. It's like the fact that they like just like showed up. I don't know. It bothers me because like every fan base out there, like you especially, I would think it would bother you more. It's like the fact that their fans didn't earn it. I always feel like there's so many like long suffering fan bases and they just show up and win it year 1. It's like, yeah, look at us go.
That's what your team did.
Yes and no though, because like they moved from Quebec and they also were gifted Patrick Waugh.
Yeah, but it wasn't like Quebecers were super excited that the Avalanche won. They were probably even more upset that they won the year after they left.
That's very true. Yeah.
So the Avalanche showed up and won it all. I don't know. I don't really care. I don't think they're going to. And if they do, great. Like, I don't know. It doesn't bother me. It's just, it's weird. And I know like there's the trend now that they've moved on to the next series on like in media where they're like, well, just like we all took that one on the chin. We said they were going to be terrible and now they're in the playoffs and they're a great team. I'm still not like, yeah, I admit I thought they were going to be terrible. They're in the Western Conference Finals. I still don't think they're that good of a team. Like I still think anytime they get on the ice, any team can beat them. But they just continue to win. So I'll just assume that they will win. Like I have no reason why I believe they're going to win because I think they're terrible, but they're not. And so good on them. Like it's not, but yeah, I don't know. It's a weird one. I'm interested to see if they'll make the finals. I wouldn't be surprised. Like, would you be surprised if they get swept?
No.
Would you be surprised if they sweep?
More.
I wouldn't be surprised if either of those things happened. Like, that's how much I don't understand this team.
Yeah.
Is like they could sweep the Jets or Preds, or they could get swept by the Jets or Preds, and I'd be like, yep.
Yeah, and that's a bit of where I think everyone stands. And like the media and the fan angle of it is very interesting how it's changed since then. The NHL said that they're not going to change the expansion rules when Seattle gets a team.
That's
they're
not
going to
be
get the same.
Good for Seattle.
Right. That's so there's two thoughts to that. One, you have Seattle. They're paying, I believe, $150 million more than Vegas. Mm-hmm. So that's a very good reason. If you're having someone pony up that much money, they want to be competitive out of the gate, right? Mm-hmm. Especially when you've seen what Vegas did with the exact same rules. But these teams aren't going to be as dumb as they were this time.
No, like you're not gonna have like Florida's not just gonna give like two of their better players.
Right, they're not gonna give two starters to Vegas with Marchessault being one of their better players. Columbus isn't going to give them William Karlsson so that they'll take the David Clarkson contract. These things aren't going to happen.
Well, and the other thing is that those contracts are becoming less and less.
The like boat anchor injury deals.
Yeah, like you can never predict when it's going to happen, but like there's none like they just aren't there. Like, well, I guess like you may see a couple in Minnesota or one in Minnesota.
Yeah.
Like, but there's nothing, like, you can't predict those. It's not like the David Clarkson thing, you could not to predict that he was going to be injured, but predict that it was going to be a bad contract.
Yeah.
Where like Parise, it's injury based. It's not.
Yeah, you could predict that by the end of his deal, it would be bad because he signed a deal till he was like 43.
Yeah.
But you didn't think now.
You thought he would still be like what he was making. He would be like his cap hit. He would be living up to his cap hit or even exceeding it, but it's just because of injury. So I don't think there's going to be many teams trying to get out of that. And I think like teams are going to be like, oh, I'm going to lose Connor Brown. I don't want to lose Connor Brown, but I'm not going to give you assets to keep Connor Brown.
Right.
That's going to be like, cause like that's the neighborhood of guy. When I think about the Leafs and who they're going to lose in the expansion draft, it's going to be a Connor Brown that they're going to lose.
Yeah. And there'll be the odd team that will have a Marc-Andre Fleury or a James Neal who has to go. But
you're okay. Like the James Neal thing was weird. The Marc-Andre Fleury thing you're okay with. Cause like you have like, yeah, you would have rather gotten assets for Marc-Andre Fleury. But in the same sense, it was actually kind of like, I know we had talked about like they should have traded Fleury. They could have gotten assets for him. But at the same time, if they had traded Fleury, then they would have lost another asset somewhere along the way. So now this way, look, okay, we know we're losing Fleury. They were fairly confident that they were going to lose Fleury. And so that's the interesting thing to see. You'll have a couple of those, but I don't know who those teams are going to be right now. It's probably like Tampa's going to be in a lot of trouble. Like they're going to have way too many guys.
I would potentially, but again, it's going to be down the road, right? It's going to be after that 2-year window. Yeah, if next season if next season they had to do this, that wouldn't be the case. But
they're going to lose a James Neal like player. They're not going to lose their best player, but they're going to lose a decent player.
Yeah. But you look at the two players that we named that were like, yeah, you might lose these players. Those two teams are still alive in the playoffs.
Yeah.
But you look at, Columbus. I'm not saying that that's the only reason why they got eliminated, but they're not playing right now. Florida, not only did they give them those two players, they also gave them a head coach. Florida didn't even make the playoffs this year. So I don't think if you build a team that you need, giving up your 13th most valuable forward or your second most valuable goaltender should not kill you. You should be able to maintain exactly where you were the next year if you build your team properly.
Yeah. Yeah. No. Yeah, I'm just looking at the Tampa roster. They're going to lose. Like they are one of those teams that they're going to be in. They're going to lose a guy if they don't. But I think it's okay. Because
it'll be after 2020 is when the draft will be. So sure, they might lose Tyler Johnson.
Might lose a Johnson or a Palat potentially.
Yeah, and those are definitely guys that you're okay losing at that point.
You're not happy about it though. Like I don't think the Preds were happy that they lost James Neal.
They weren't asking them to take him.
No, and so but they did. So I just don't think. I think you're right. I don't think teams are going to be as dumb as they were this time. Like I look back at it. Like I was very disappointed to lose Lesbic. I don't know how to say that guy's name.
Yeah, but what has he done?
He hasn't done anything. And that's not, that's kind of beside the point. Because, I wouldn't have been surprised. He started the year off really good. And then just, he had, a really hot streak when the year started. And then just did nothing the rest of the year. I was not happy about that. But I look back then, I'm like, thank goodness they didn't give up assets to keep him instead of, I don't even know who, Kirby Reichel is who they probably would have lost, or someone like that.
And I look at, obviously, with the Avs goalie situation near the end of the year, would I have wanted the potential of having Calvin Pickard in net instead of Andrew Hammond at the end of the year? Maybe. But he was a guy that Vegas chose, put him on waivers. He wasn't claimed. Then they traded him for a sixth, and now he's the fourth string goalie for the Leafs. Sure, he is the best fourth string goalie in the league, but he's also the fourth string goalie.
Yeah, and that it's not. you didn't lose much. And the thing is, if the Avalanche really wanted him back, they could get him back.
Yeah.
Like, that's not any team. So that's the thing that I think. So, like, Vegas lucked out that they had, and not lucked out. I think their GM, whatever his name is, Glant.
No, that's the coach.
Name? That's
George
the coach.
McPhee.
McPhee. Like, he did a good job. He took advantage of, he understood his situation better than the rest of the NHL teams. Like, he out GM'd the entire league almost.
Yeah.
Well, not the entire league. There was lots of teams that didn't play into his.
Yeah, they didn't play ball, but hands down, if anyone other than him wins GM of the year, it's ridiculous. Like, there's no chance.
Yeah, like, so like, any team that didn't trade assets for him to take someone, he didn't out GM them. But, like, he did a lot of teams.
Yeah.
It's crazy, so.
Then he also made the Thomas Tatar trade. So
that's true. So maybe he shouldn't win GM of the year.
Maybe we'll just take it back. Maybe GM of what, 90% of the season?
Yeah.
That's not an award though. Sorry, George.
That's a rough turnaround. So
we're heading into this week. By the time we are back next time, we will have had the end of second round.
We'll be in the finals.
We'll be in the conference finals. And leading into that, we're having, last week we talked about summer. We talked about our slow pitch season. Off to play game number 2 tonight.
Yep.
Let's see how that goes. But a very special thing happening later this week.
Oh. I don't know what.
Well, Joel, you do know what. We've talked about it many times today.
Oh, okay.
A first for the show. A Fifth Line podcast will be recorded with all three of us in the same room.
What?
I know.
Is that true?
Yeah.
Are we going to San Francisco?
We are not. Wait, should I have mentioned that? Or is that a spoiler?
Oh, it's too late now.
What are your thoughts on the spoilers? Can we talk about spoilers for a second?
Sure.
Okay. Cause I almost spoiled arguably like the biggest thing you shouldn't spoil today. I almost spoiled this. There's this little movie called The Avengers that's out right now.
Right.
I almost spoiled it to an entire group of people, which at least like a half dozen of the dozen hadn't seen the movie yet.
One of which was me.
One of which was you. You have plans to see it?
I'm going tomorrow night to see The Avengers.
Okay, so I'm glad I didn't spoil it for you.
So it's okay. Mike already spoiled the entire thing to me.
Did he?
Yeah, he told me everything that happened.
Knowing that you were going to see it, or just entirely oblivious to the fact?
No, I at the time had no plans that I was going to see it, and so I'm not going to see it out of my own choosing. I hate superhero movies.
Yeah, I didn't think you were a superhero fan.
Once you've seen one, you've seen them all.
This one's different though.
They're literally all the same.
No,
so
this one's
different.
It is, yeah.
Okay. Well, I know this one's different because I know everything about it.
Right, Mike has told you that, so you can confirm. What do you so the movie's been a week and a half? Is that's too early for me to spoil it?
Yeah, you've gotten like I would say 2 weekends.
Okay. I think that's even long. I would have said for a movie, I would have given it a month.
It depends on which type of movie. Like Star Wars, like it's so busy for like the first month. So you got to like keep it quiet for a month.
Yeah, that's how I feel about this one. Like I went to the theater in Calgary that nobody goes to, so I bought tickets day of opening weekend. It was fine.
Oh, see, I don't care about superhero movies, so I say 2 weeks on those ones.
But when was the last time you saw any movie opening weekend?
Opening weekend?
Yeah.
Never. I don't know. Like, we're talking years. Matrix. That's the last one I can remember.
Did we see... I seem to recall that we saw Indiana Jones opening weekend. The Crystal Skull.
Maybe. That could have been it.
So that was it. So Crystal Skull was the last time Joel saw a movie opening weekend.
Yeah. I guess so. Yeah. I don't know.
Which was the most disappointing. No, that's not true. I saw... Not remember the Titan. What was the Titan movie? With like released the Kraken, that thing. I saw that movie opening weekend. They made me line up outside the theater.
Release the Kraken. Which one
What's
was
the movie
that?
That's a thing. This is how bad the movie is.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
All I can
Clash
remember,
of the Titans.
There you go.
I saw that opening weekend. That was a mistake. Don't do that.
I haven't seen that movie.
Well, don't go back. It's been out 8 years. I can spoil that movie for you, I think.
I don't know. I think you've got. I managed. So like, the last Star Wars movie,
Yeah.
The Force Awakens. That one, is that what it's called?
Last Jedi?
No, like the one before that.
Yeah,
The Last
Force
Jedi
Awakens.
is the most recent one.
Yeah. So like episode 7.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I managed to not get it spoiled for 2 months because I wasn't able to like watch it when it first came out. And we managed to go see it like 2 months later.
It's impressive. That was when your son was born.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you were busy.
I was busy.
There was reasons you could distract yourself. That's impressive though, nonetheless.
And I still, this is probably not a good thing to say. We have purchased like the newest one, the newest Star Wars one.
Yeah.
Still haven't seen it because we tried to watch it one night and then like our skylight is in a place where like the sun hits the TV and the movie's too dark. And so then we haven't gotten around to watching it when it's dark.
I was gonna say you can watch them at night. Movies can be watched after hours.
So anyway, we haven't actually watched that yet, but I still don't know what's happened in that movie. So like,
Do you want me to tell you?
I really don't. I'll hit you with a bat. Like, if you purposely spoil, like, because there's the unintentional spoil, which you almost did today.
Yeah, and it was literally just because like we were talking about Fortnite because they're doing an Avengers Fortnite thing.
Yeah, and so like that was kind of unintentional. But
I almost just did it again. I literally almost did it. I should stop talking about this movie.
But then, if you do it intentionally, like that's a whole different thing. You can't intentionally spoil. If you know someone hasn't seen it and they don't want you to spoil it, and then you intentionally do it, that it doesn't matter how long after the movie.
There's no statute of limitations on that one.
Yeah,
you just don't.
You're just a jerk at that point. Like that's your.
And Joel will hit you with a bat. That's what will happen.
I think that's a fair retribution.
No, but that's okay.
If you intentionally injure me, I'm going to intentionally injure you.
I would say a physical injury versus an emotional injury so you would have to go emotional. You would have to go, like, if I hit you with a bat, you hit me with a bat. If I hurt you emotionally, you hurt me emotionally.
So I'm allowed to hurt you emotionally then?
I haven't hurt you emotionally.
But I would be allowed to.
I think that's a fair retribution. Like, I think it's...
I got a couple in the hopper that I'm waiting for.
I don't know how I feel about this. All right, Joel, let's remind some of the folks about the Alberta Podcast Network, a fantastic group of net shows. I was going to say networks. It's only one network. Mm-hmm. It's a fantastic group of shows. Big event this weekend, the aforementioned Pod Summit that we talked about on the show before. That happened up there.
Yeah.
Lots of great podcast tips happening up there. More events, including the Alberta Podcast Network, are going to be happening. One of them is happening June the 7th. The Alberta Podcast Network, powered by ATB, is putting on a live show during the Inventures Conference in Calgary, which sounds pretty cool. It's called Podcast Connect, a talk fest about the future. I don't know what a talk fest is, but it sounds good.
Is it like a rib fest?
I think it's like a rib fest, but with talking. Yeah.
So this just means there'll be lots of talking instead of lots of ribs.
Yeah, probably like different people talking, like different flavors of ribs.
Can you bring ribs?
It doesn't say on the website if ribs are not allowed, and so I think it's a situation where you ask forgiveness instead of permission.
Because like talk fest, good. Rib talk fest. Great.
Yeah, better. Yeah. So certainly Rib Talk Podcasts Eats Rib Talk Fest about the future is something that you should attend. You'll get to see That's So Maven, the Work Not Work Show, A Branded World, and Future Chat in action, talking to fascinating people about all kinds of innovation. friends at ATB will be there to answer questions about everything that they're doing. Something called, well, I know this, AI. I know what that is. But something called blockchain and something else called robotics. I also know what that is. So 2 of the 3 I already know about, but I'd have to figure out what blockchain is. So you can go to podcastsconnect.eventbrite.ca. You can learn more about these shows and the rest of the Alberta Podcast Network's events at albertapodcastnetwork.com. High Sticking is a game we play.
It is. Can we quickly talk about, so like I've been looking at this building behind you.
Yeah, the one they're building.
Yeah, so I didn't realize that they were building it. I was like, how come some people got windows and some people didn't? And I realized, like, cause like where, like the frame in your door blocks out the crane from where I'm standing. Or from where I'm not standing right now, from where I'm sitting.
Joel's been standing for the last 55 minutes, folks. It's quite the feat.
Yeah, so I didn't realize it was being built. And I was like, that's a weird building. It was just like a lot of like open air. It's not finished yet.
No, it's not even. I think it's like 2/3. That's going to be a tall building. It like turns. It's very interesting.
Wait, the building moves?
No. So it looks like it so the base of it's stationary and then it looks like it like twists as it goes up.
Oh.
That would be, yeah. So those are going to be people's homes and they will eventually get windows.
Are those people's homes like the one beside it? The like the curved moon shape one?
No.
That's a pretty nice building.
That's an office building.
That looks cool. That's not the Encana one, is it?
It is.
Oh.
Yeah.
And then what's the other massive one? There's like a really massive one.
That one. To the left of the Calgary Tower.
Yeah.
Yeah. That one. I don't know who's in
tower's
there.
over the Calgary Tower.
Yeah. Calgary Tower is what? The 4th tallest building in the city right now?
Yeah, and like it doesn't have a view anymore.
It has a view. It's just not like the tallest view.
Of like other buildings.
You could look up. You could look down. Yeah. I look up to it. So, see? There it is. High Sticking is a game that we play where you head over to our Twitter and you pick who you think is going to score the game-winning goal for every game in the playoffs. So far, we talked last week, Mike Laybourne, he gave us all the stats for round 1, and he was winning then. He's still leading the point totals now.
Why aren't you listening to his tips?
He gave everyone all the tips.
Give him all the tips.
Yeah. No one listened to what he had to tell them. And so he's running away with it. He has 24 points. In second place is Matt from Reasons Are Several with 18. A total of 210 points have been handed out so far this round.
And potentially, there's 2 more games for sure. It's too late to enter one of them.
Yeah.
You're probably not, by the time, this is probably coming out after both of the games.
Yeah, so if these series go 7,
you have a chance.
You have a chance to get more points, get in on it. Next week on the show, we will be drawing a winner. From all of these entries, every point you have is one name in a hat. We will draw that name out of the hat, crown a winner. It could be J. Marsden 21.
So here's the thing. Pro tip. If it goes 7, Ovi, Malkin.
Okay, that's Joel's. What about Jets Preds? Who are you taking for...
If it's a Game 7?
Game 7, Jets Preds.
I'm going to go Bufflin.
Ooh.
Brian Johansson.
Okay.
Do it. You take those, you'll win.
Okay, those are Joel's tips. He's not Mike Laybourne. If you want to follow Mike, who's winning, he makes his picks on Twitter. You could just follow him. You can find us on Twitter at Fourth Line Podcast, Facebook.com/The Fourth Line Podcast, and thefourthlinepodcast.com. We're going to be having articles up this week. Mike Laybourne is going to be doing a preview of the East Final. Christy Laux, new addition to the website, she's going to be doing the Western Conference preview. And very excited to have her as part. She's been on the show before.
Yeah, and if you want to help me in my mission to getting blocked by Patrick O'Sullivan, if you ever see me tweet at him, just
throw Joel a like or
just reply. Engage. Just like poke the bear. That's what we're trying to do. But not over the line. See, this is the thing. We're not cyberbullying. We're just asking questions.
Right.
Is that bad?
You tell me.
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think
I'm not going to tell you how to live your life.
That's fair. Yeah, because it's easy to get blocked by someone by being a complete jerk. That's easy.
Yeah, that's not hard at all.
But me just asking simple questions that I find amusing, I'm hoping that gets me blocked one day. Because I feel like he has like a bit of a
A quick block trigger.
Yeah, on those kinds of things.
Yeah, that's fair. Well, you can follow Joel through the podcast. You can find him on the Twitters. If you see him tweeting, maybe if I see it or you happen to be on the podcast account, we'll retweet it so you guys can see Joel's antics with Patrick O'Sullivan.
You don't want me on the podcast account. Fun thing.
It happens, what, twice a year?
Yeah, and you always are worried at first.
Yeah, that's a fact. All right, yeah, head over to thefourthlinepodcast.com for some previews of the next round, as well as other great articles that are heading up there. I feel like I'm missing something. If you want to subscribe and leave us a review of the show, we like that and we're thankful. So thank you very much to everyone who's done that. New WHL show came out this week. Shout out to Andy. Glad that he's doing all right. We'll be putting out another one of those before the Memorial Cup comes out as well. Until next week.
Boom City.